So what's about sync connector? Let's start, go to our cluster and add a topic for this sync connector, and let us call this topic uh, to MySQL. Also there is advantage settings like the maximum period before a message is deleted, which is by default 1 week, and you can change it whatever you want, and it be maybe infinite, which means that the message never be deleted. And also the maximum limit size for the topic, and after this it start to delete messages, and the maximum message size. You can change whatever you want here, but I leave it as a default and just create this topic. And to be used for this topic to be used for sync connector, we need to provide it with a schema. So we want to give it a schema of what the data that will be inserted here should look like. And to do this, we'll set a schema. Choose Avro, and we can use the same schema as we used before, which is like this, which is ID as a primary key, a name which is optional and string, email which is also optional and string, department is the same, and modified which is like time. So just take the same schema we used for consumer and put it here for the producer, or for the sync connector. Create, and also can update it, change whatever you want graphically from here. Also you need to keep track with the schema ID, this number, because this number we will need in future. We need this number in future when we write our Python code. So now we have created the topic, add its schema, go to data integration, add a connector. So go to connector and add connector, and this connector will be sync connector. So I search for MySQL and choose the sync one, and the topics that will be connected to this connector, it will be to MySQL. What is the value format? Let be Avro, and the key format, I not the key will be always none. I wouldn't use it, so just leave it as a string. The Kafka authentication will be API key, and API key will be, that is mine, and that is a secret key. Also, if you don't have those, you can generate a new one using this link. Also you need the IP and the port number, and the username, password, the database name for MySQL, and we can get this from Kubernetes, like writing Kubernetes get services, and for MySQL it be like this. So just copy it as we did before, paste it, and here is 3306, and the result name is user, and it's SOFE4630U. Can check writing it correctly, yeah, and the database name will be MyDB, and the mode will be prefer. Okay. And now we have two insert modes. One of them is called insert, and the other is upsert. Insert is just adding new records, and if the primary key is repeated, this record will be just discarded. Uh, but upsert will update the record. If the record is not there, the record is be created, added, and if it is already exists, a record with with this primary key is already exist, the fields of this record will be updated. So you can choose insert or upsert, but if you choose upsert, you have to provide the primary key here. If you just use insert, you don't need to do this. Also, in the configuration, there is auto create table, which means that if the table is not exist, it will be automatically created. So it's true. I want it to automatically be created, and also for adding column to be automatically added if it is needed. So this will be done in MySQL database. The number of tasks will be one task, and now I have configured all things here. So just go next and launch this connector. It will take like minutes to be running, and sometimes it fails for a minute, and then the task is restarted and it works all right. So just you have to wait. But what will happen here? What will happen here is just for each message will be sent to MySQL. It will be parsed according to the schema and sent to MySQL database and stored there and stored in a table with the same name as the topic name. So my topic is called to MySQL, the table will call the same to MySQL. It is called client, the table will be client, whatever the topic name, this will be the table name. And here I can provide it with many topics names. This configuration will apply to all these topics, and for each topic there will be a table to be created. So waiting for the connector to run. Let's go and check our Python code. Now I want to send some message here. Okay, it's now running. This is okay. I want to send some messages to this sync connector. I want to produce to it, to produce to the topic connected to it, so that the connector will take the message from this topic and send it to and store them in MySQL. So just I go to my Python code and here you will see that there is a file called producer MySQL, this file, and if you open this file you will see it like this. First this is schema ID, and if you remember this was the schema ID, this 1404, and you can get it from topic to MySQL schema, and that is a number. So after this is a credential for Kafka, read from credential.json, the same as we do for the consumer. We did before for the consumer, and we read from it the bootstrap server, the API server, which is the username and the password, and all these will be put here for the producer to connect as a configuration for the producer to connect. Also, I read the Avro schema, the same file that I used before for the consumer. I read it here for the producer, and I write another function called encode that do the opposite of the code that was written before for consumer. It first convert a JSON object into a binary, and this converts this binary to Avro format according to the schema, and prefix with schema ID in 5 bytes to the values generated here, and this is what will be sent to the topic. That is Avro serializing function. And for this function to be applied to each message, I'll add this as an argument for a function as an argument to the producer. This argument is called value serializer, and for this value serializer, for each message M, he will call encode of this message, and encode is this function. Then the producer will produce to this topic the value which will be serialized. Here the serializer will be called, and it will be serialized and sent to MySQL. It is case sensitive, which means that you have to be persistent in uppercase and lower cases, and then the producer will be closed. Let's save this file and run it. Okay, what is the value we will send? It's look like this. It's like a JSON or a dictionary in which follows the same fields, which is ID, name, email, department, modified. So that is ID, name, email, department, modified. And modified, here is how we are generating timestamp for the current time like this, and this value will be sent according to the producer and will be converted to Avro format using this serializer. So let's save it, go here and clear screen and run this file, which is producer MySQL. Now this is generated, in which we have like 15 Adam at Gmail and CS. So let's change it to like user like this, like IT, like 16 instead of 15, whatever you want to change it, and run it again. So we go here to Confluent and to data ingestion connectors. We see that the task is okay running. And there is no error, but there is no messages processed. So maybe we have to wait a little. Go to topic and go to my SQL. There are 2 bytes per second. Let's check the messages. Like, go to offset 0, partition 0. on partition 1. This is it. Okay, now let's check our connectors. It works like now. There are two messages processed, and if we want to see them in our console here, just go to MySQL, and with a user and with a password which is SOFE4630U, and for hostname which is like this. And now we can just use MyDB and show tables. Now there is a table called MySQL, which will look like this. And for this table, just I can select asterisk from my db dot like this, and here is the values that is inserted into MySQL, and we can add a new value if you want, like going here and set this to 20, say the username to like admin, and get like admin, and department will be like manager, something like this. So let's run it. And go back to here, select now admin is added here and sorts. So congratulations, we have configured and used both sync and source connector for MySQL. The next video will be for Redis, and for Redis we have only one connector, which is just a sync connector.